is on how to win more business from distributors. Basically, I'm pretty well qualified to present on this subject because that's what we do as well. Technologo may not be a supplier of promotional products, but we are actively competing for distributor business with other virtual sample suppliers just like you guys. So this is going to be a combination of research that we've done and personal experience of how to get distributors to notice you in a very competitive marketplace. And what we're going to cover today, what's the problem, where to find leads, how to develop an email marketing strategy that works, how to work on elements that will make your supplier website more effective, how to build online engagement with distributors, how to get the newer generation of distributors to interact with you, and how to develop great word of mouth, which does a lot of work for you. So given that for many people, at least in the UK, it's 5 o'clock on a Friday evening, and in the West Coast, it's 9 o'clock, I promise to be succinct but very happy to answer questions by the same measure. So please do ask any questions using the panel on the right-hand side. So what's the problem? As a starting point, the problem is that not every supplier has a limitless budget, and a lot of the way that distributors find suppliers right now is through sourcing portals like Customer Focus, like Sage and ASI and Distributor Central if you're in the States, like Sourcing City and Sourcing Machina if you're in the UK. And nearly all of these platforms offer some paid for placement. So if you're a smaller supplier and you don't have this gigantic marketing budget, your products will be maybe on page 10 or a good case scenario, well behind the suppliers who've got a bigger budget than you and are prepared to throw more money at that. And it does become a question of who's got the most money wins the most points, which is not really fair. It's not necessarily fair to the distributors either, because they're not necessarily finding the most relevant product for their needs. They're finding the product that was paid for the most to be there. But there's nothing we can do about it. It's how these guys make their money. So what we're going to do today is have a look at your other alternatives for winning distributor business. The other challenge suppliers have, of course, is that very few suppliers are selling something that's entirely unique. You might be selling a plastic pen in a particular shape, but you're certainly not the only person selling a plastic pen. So how to kind of differentiate yourself from everybody else who is selling ostensibly a fairly similar product. So I want to start out with where to find leads, and this is kind of like the most proactive part of the webinar. Most of what we'll talk about will be about attracting people to come to you. This is about how to go out and find them. And the avenues that we found most effective for doing this are social media networking groups, exhibitions, and webinars. And I'm just going to go through these in detail. The social media networking groups. Now, I will say, to qualify this immediately, I found this much more useful in the United States than in the UK. In my experience, the United States distributor network is a lot more active on social media than in the UK. But just to quickly drop away from the webinar and just to show you on Facebook, for example, there's a group called Promotional Product Professionals, which you can see here has nearly 3,000 members. These are all promotional product distributors and suppliers. And I can tell you from experience that nearly every single question that goes in here is, do you have any ideas for this? Who sells this? Who can supply this? Suppliers, if you are not part of this networking group, I fervently recommend you jump on board. Again, I apologize to the guys in the UK. I haven't found something as good as this in the UK, but certainly for US-based suppliers, definitely join this group and groups like it. You can see I'm also on this Promo Friends group and Promotional Product Deals. All of these are full of distributors who want to hear from you. They want your ideas. They want your suggestions. And in terms of, so the second one on the list is exhibitions. there's no way of getting around it. Exhibitions cost money, but as a means of building a huge funnel of leads in a short space of time, that you really can't beat it. So it's the PPAI and ASI shows in the US, Customer Focus, the Promotional Products Expo in the UK, and Sourcing City events as well. These are hugely successful at bringing in leads for suppliers, and you can usually do a booth very cheaply. So I'm not going to dwell on it, but that would be, I would strongly recommend that you invest some energy into it, going to at least the biggest organized event for your industry. And webinars. Now, case in point, today I'm talking to you about on this subject because it's hopefully going to make you feel better about Technologo at the end of it. I'm not going to spend any of this presentation pitching Technologo, or maybe a very tiny amount. But the idea is that I'm giving up my time and some of my energy and knowledge and some of what I've learned so that you will feel better about Technologo, and hopefully out the back of it will generate some business for Technologo in the long term. Same principle, if you can go out there and educate distributors on, let's say, for example, an imprint technique that they might not be familiar with, get the word out there that you're going to do this free webinar where you deliver some of your expertise for free, and they will come. They will come because it's really helpful for them. And even if you get, as I say, you're not trying to sell something through these webinars, absolutely not. The objective is to position yourself as a generous thought leader who knows what they're talking about and is prepared to give up their time and energy and expertise in return for a bit of goodwill, is what it boils down to. So we have found, since we implemented a webinar program, that it's been an enormous driver for getting brand awareness and active qualified leads into the business. So I would strongly recommend it. Email marketing, and this I would say is our #1 strategy for winning business from distributors. Why it works so well? Well, 91% of people check their email every single day. Now, that's quite low. I mean, I can't imagine who's the 9% who don't. But yeah, email, everybody looks at it. You're in their face, basically, when you send someone an email. Email has the highest rate of return of any online marketing medium. It's £38 for each pound spent, and I think actually the ratio is even higher in the States, so it's an even better return on investment. And 76% of people who receive emails have said that they've made a purchase based off the back of an email campaign. So yes, okay, these are kind of retail studies, but the principle is when you send someone an email, they're receiving it, they've opted in to receive it, and they may well take action off the back of it. And email is incredibly cheap. Obviously, once you've built an emailing list, it costs you basically nothing to send that list an email. So how do you build a list? If you have no names of distributors in your books or limited numbers of distributors in your books, how do you get them all distributors to sign up? Well, the first thing you should definitely do is put a sign-up form to join your email list absolutely everywhere. And I'm very surprised about how few suppliers do this. I jump on several dozen supplier websites in the course of a working week, and very, very rarely do I see a sign-up for our mailing list option on a supplier site. Get it on there, and also put it in your email signature. So a little link to sign up to your email mailing list. If you're at an exhibition, you can provide a paper form. I know it's old hat, but it works, just to say, people, if you want to be on our mailing list, give us your name. And you can also obviously put calls to action on Facebook, which do the same thing. The important thing is that you give them a reason to sign up for your mailing list. It's no good just saying, sign up for our mailing list. Why? Why would I sign for your mailing list? You've given me no good reason to do so. So it's really important that you provide people with an explanation. So a good example would be, I'm going to send you every 2 weeks a list of our specials and EQP offers that are only available to the people who are on our mailing list. That's a really good reason to join a mailing list. I would join your mailing list off the back of that. So give people a very good reason to join your mailing list and ask them, and they will. And put those sign-up forms everywhere on your website. If you're not comfortable with how to create a sign-up form, if you're using something like MailChimp or Constant Contact for your email marketing, and if you're not, those two are very good service providers that's worth having a look at them. They actually provide you with a free little bit of software that you just you can just pop onto your website. They give you very detailed instructions on how to do it, and that creates a little sign up form for you. So you don't need to know any special coding or anything like that. These email service providers, again, like Constant Contact and MailChimp, they make it very easy because it's in their interest if you have a successful email marketing campaign. And one thing that I learned about a year ago and was enormously helpful for us is that you can export your LinkedIn database. So if you have a great network of distributors on LinkedIn, you can actually export that list complete with email addresses and company names and all of that good stuff, and obviously put it into your email marketing program. And I'll just very quickly show you how to do that. From LinkedIn, jump onto your Connections tab, and at the top right hand side of your Connections tab, you'll see this little cog icon. Click on that, and then you'll see there's a link to export LinkedIn connections, and that will, as I say, export everybody who's in your LinkedIn database and give it you as a spreadsheet that you can then use for email marketing. Now, I would say, just because somebody is connected with you in LinkedIn doesn't mean they're necessarily expecting to receive a spammy kind of sales email from you. So the first email you send to these people should be very tentative. I mean, I would send them a message to the effect that I would like to send you information about our EQP promotions, new products and special offers. Please click here to confirm that you'd like to receive them. And if they don't click here, don't email them again. You know, just be very, obviously be respectful. You know, they've given you tacit permission to contact them, but it's because they haven't given you explicit permission. Make sure that first email is requesting that explicit permission. Okay, back to the presentation. Okay. So I've just very briefly touched on that, but just to kind of be more clear about email marketing, when you have started to build a list, and you know what, it doesn't need to be the biggest list in the world, even if it's just 15 people, start sending email content. But there are some things to be mindful of. You must honor the promises you made when they signed up. So if you said that you would offer them special offers, EQP, new product information, and that you would email them twice every 2 weeks, you must do that. Don't email them every 2 days with just simple lists of products. That's not what they signed up for, and they'll unsubscribe. So honor the promises you made to them when they signed up. I've put be generous, and what I mean by this is, you know, ultimately, and it's kind of tied into being respectful of their time. Always provide something of genuine value to them. You know, it's one thing to send them a list of products that you want to sell because you're not selling very many of them, but wouldn't it be more useful if you provided them with something that was pertinent to the season and delivered with an end user version flyer that's helpful to them? So when I say be generous, put some thought and creativity into what you're sending to them, then give them something that's of genuine value. That's tied into being respectful of their time. Never send an email out that you're not completely convinced, that you just rushed because you think, oh, I should send something out today. I have done this on several occasions where you think, well, it's been a while, I really should get an email out to people, and you do something and it's a bit half-assed. It doesn't help you. You won't get the click-through rates, you won't get the open rates, and their goodwill with you just drop down a few pegs. Now, bear in mind, every single time you email somebody, it's an opportunity for them to say they don't want to receive any more emails from you. If they unsubscribe, that's it, finito. You can't ever email that person again. So never send anything out that you're not convinced is of genuine value and quality to that person. Be consistent. As I say, if you did say you were going to email somebody every couple of weeks, email them every couple of weeks. Don't leave it too late. Don't do it too frequently or infrequently. Do check for typos and broken links in your emails. It sounds obvious, but it's enormously frustrating when it happens. And as I say, this is why I said start now, even if you've got a fairly small mailing list, because what you'll see is that you'll start to get useful data on the best times of day to send messages out to people, what they're most likely to click on in terms of what offers get them going, what subject lines make them more likely to open the email, and do more of what works and obviously less of what doesn't work. So I'm going to move on now to supplier websites. And we surveyed distributors recently to find out what they wanted from a supplier website. It's actually our sister company, Customer Focus, who did the survey. And in order, this is what they're looking for. They're looking for live inventory of your products. They're looking for instant shipping quotes. They're looking for virtual samples. Yay. They want a live chat service. Now, the live chat service is only useful if somebody is on the other end of it, prepared to answer it, who knows their stuff. So no point just giving it to an intern, unless the intern's amazing. They want to know their order status. They want to be able to log into your website and find out where something is in the progression, so they're not having to call you and check that information. They want to have high resolution blank images, obviously, so they can create their own virtual samples. They want client-friendly spec sheets so that they can send a client a nice breakdown of what this product does and how useful it is for them. And they want an imprint template for download. These are the top 8 things that distributors overwhelmingly requested. So I would just say use this as a checklist and try and be there for every single one of them if you possibly can. Because the more information you're providing them, the more easy you're making it for them to buy and sell your products, the more likely they are to do so. Which ties into how a distributor acts on your website, and they should be able to find their way around your website as seamlessly as possible. So again, you know, I find on some supplier websites it'll take me sort of 5 or 6 clicks before I can find a product. Just think about reducing the number of clicks that it takes for somebody to get to an item. So put your most popular products on the home page. Don't hide things behind wall after wall of categories if you can avoid it. Provide a very good search function so that people can always use that if you do have a large catalogue. And as much as you can, don't put stuff behind barriers. So yes, of course, some information is going to need to be password protected, and distributors might need to register for an account in order to access it, but put as little as possible there so that a passing distributor can find the information they need without having to go through the effort of registering with you. Consider having a mobile optimized website. It's becoming more important. A distributor who's out and about may well want to kind of check inventory while they're out and talking to a customer. So if they can get that off for mobile, then that's going to make them super happy. And get impartial feedback. And my top tip here is to use a system called Peak User Testing. And I'll just show you their website. It's super simple and it's free. If you go to peak.usertesting.com, all you do is you put in your domain name, and they get a complete stranger to spend 5 minutes on your website while they're conducting a series of tasks that Peak encourages them to do. It's utterly fascinating. So you may think your website's intuitive and really easy to use, and distributors can definitely find the information they need, and it's really clear what you offer. You may well be surprised. It's incredibly nerve-wracking watching this back, but it provides a genuinely good insight, and it's completely free, and you can do it every month. So once you've made some improvements, go back and test it again. So here's a little bit about online engagement and why it's important. And this is relevant from a supplier to a distributor relationship. It's also relevant from a distributor to an end user perspective. But somebody who is engaged with you, somebody who is actively engaging with your website as opposed to just kind of scrolling through things, is more likely to buy. They're more likely to buy again, and they're more likely to recommend you. But how do you actually create a website that has that level of engagement? Well, interactive images, and yes, this is a blatant plug for the Technologo solution. Interactive images are considered to be the most effective way of achieving online engagement. So if you can offer distributors a means of creating virtual samples, creating flyers, creating presentations while they're on your site, the fact that they're able to do this on your site is an engaging activity, and you benefit from all of those nice statistics about increased loyalty, increased sales, and increased referrals as a result of them being greater engaged. So virtual samples, whether you buy them from Technologo or anybody else, are very effective at engaging distributors. They make your products easier to sell, and it does also reduce costs to your service department because they can create their own virtuals without having to contact you. Blatant plug is now over. So one thing that we've discovered as a company is that distributors are getting younger. We did a survey perhaps 2 years ago of our customer base, and I think the average age of our customer was about 55 and male, as it happened. We did the same exercise more recently, and it's shot down by 10 years. And bear in mind that's an average, which says to us that there's a lot more younger people joining the industry. And anybody who's under the age of 35 now is technically a millennial. I am what would they call? I think an early millennial, just. Um, and millennials are buy differently from Generation X and the baby boomers. So while this may not be something that's a key strategy for you right now, their presence in the workplace is big. They're already the largest workforce in America. Group in the workforce in America, I should say. They're only going to get bigger. So even if you're not that concerned with targeting younger buyers right now, it should be part of your strategy going forward, because very soon, very soon most of your customers will be in this demographic. And how do you appeal to them? Reviews. They're strongly swayed by other people's opinion of your products. And we'll talk about how you generate reviews and where to put them in just a second. Millennials tend to skip read. They're not interested in a really densely packed paragraphs of information about your products. So break out the key USPs about your products into bullet points. If you do need to put a ton of safety information there, make it available, but put it below the fold and give them the key information they need in nicely well-spaced bullet points, because millennials absorb information incredibly fast, but they need it nicely spread out and bullet pointed. Millennials are a sucker for a special offer. Absolutely love coupons and special offers. Now, coupons isn't really a supplier type thing to offer, but EQP, free samples, free shipping, all of these things will get these people to try you that one time. And once they've tried you that one time, obviously you have the opportunity to impress them and keep their business for the future. Here's an interesting one you might not have considered. Millennials, if price and product are equal, which in many cases for suppliers they are, they'll actually buy from the supplier who promotes a good cause, who gives up their time or gives some of their profit to a good cause. So I don't see many suppliers doing this, but if you or members of your team it wouldn't be I know it sounds incredibly cynical, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to start supporting a charity and making it known that you support a charity. Now, yes, it is cynical because ultimately the end game is to attract younger buyers, but the charity benefits, the younger buyer benefits, and you guys will get something out of it just from being altruistic. So it's a good thing all round. Support a good cause and make sure people know about it. And keeping content fresh on your website, keeping a fresh look and feel. It's a major pet peeve of millennials when they go on a website and they'll see like the little copyright notice in the bottom is from 2000, was last dated 2011. It just suggests that you don't care. So one of the things we said at the start of that last slide was how important reviews are, and they really are. And this is one of the ways that that Customer Focus and Technologo have been able to build business with distributors, is by getting good reviews from people who use the service. Now, obviously, it starts with offering great service and a great product. If you don't do that, then you're not going to get great reviews. But let's assume that everybody who's listening to this call does deliver great customer service and a great product. But it's one thing to do that. It's another thing to actually get somebody to get off their bottom and actually provide you with a review. So you actually have to ask them to do it in our experience. So follow up with them after they've placed an order with a survey asking for their appraisal. If they come back with good reviews, then go back to them and say, okay, would you mind giving us a quick testimonial or a case study? And if they do, you could always incentivize them to do so. If they obviously come back with bad negative feedback, that's also highly useful because obviously you can act on it and do something about it. And as we've found, the important thing is to go out there and physically ask for it, because they won't. A happy customer is not. You'd have to kind of absolutely blow their socks off in order for them to kind of spontaneously provide you with feedback. which occasionally you may get the opportunity to do. But if everything just runs smoothly, that's what they expect. So you actually have to go out there and physically ask them, or do something completely above the ordinary. So provide them with 100, spec samples to promote themselves just for free because you're a nice person. And once you've generated some positive feedback, the important thing is to actually share it, is to make sure that other people can see it, because that's what I was talking about. Millennials want to see that social proof. They want to see that other people have verified your brand. And yes, this is one of the things where obviously a lot of the online product research portals allow distributors to review suppliers. And this is not dissimilar, but obviously it's in your terms now. So you can put that feedback on your website. You can put it on your email footer. You can put it on social media. You can add it to blog posts, and you can add it into your literature. And from my perspective, the most important place to share it on your website is on the product detail. So when somebody's looking at a mug or a bag or a pen or a t-shirt on your website, if they can see comments from distributors who bought from you underneath there, just around the button that says request a quote, then it's going to make them that much more likely to actually go ahead and do that if they can see that social proof. And that was it. I rattled through it at great speed. I hope it was helpful. So at this point, if anybody's got any questions, please use the panel on the right-hand side to ask those questions. As I say, we've been marketing now to distributors in a competitive market for the last 10 years. So very happy to answer any questions you might have. And in the event that we don't have any questions, my email is liz@technologo.com, or you can also email Amanda and she'll be very happy to help as well. I will be sending around the slides in the presentation now, and I want to thank you all for your time. Again, if you're in the UK, have a wonderful weekend. If you're in the US, enjoy the rest of your day and then have a wonderful weekend. And thank you very much for listening.